Hey Disney friends, it's Amber with MickeyTravels. I'm going to do an updated Fastpass video for you with all of the changes that have been going on with Disney World and some of the attractions. My other Fastpass video is a little outdated, so I've created a list here of my top 3 in each park, and then I have like some alternatives in case my 3 don't really correspond with your family's choices. So let's take a look. With you. I've got a little friend helping me today. Wanted to introduce you guys to my dog. This is Theo. Say hi. And then I have Daisy too. They're both dachshunds, but she's sitting up there. She's just not really into it right now. Say hi, YouTube. All right. All right. Magic Kingdom is probably by far one of the most difficult to try to figure out how to use fast passes, especially if you're only going to be there a day. And I usually recommend spending at least 2 days at Magic Kingdom. If you have younger children with you, these are the 3 that I've chosen. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train would be number 1. The height requirement for that, I believe, is 40 inches. You'll have to double check with that. And then secondly is Meeting a Princess, which you can do. There's 2 separate fast passes for that, and those do change sometimes, so just be sure to check with your the Disney website to see which 2 princesses are in each location. Right now, I believe Elena of Avalor is there, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Tiana, I think, are the choices. But again, that changes often, so just make sure you double check with that. And then the last one would be Peter Pan's Flight. So those are my top 3 for if you have kids maybe 6 and under and are just looking for the ones that have the longest waits, because those 3 definitely will. The princesses have been going at about an hour on the wait time, and then Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is still pretty crazy, and Peter Pan's Flight's always been weird like that. It's just really, really long. The only downside to doing Peter Pan's Flight is you don't get to, with a fast pass, is you don't get to go through the queue, which they have recently redone, and it looks fabulous. So if you want to walk through and wait 45 minutes to an hour, then you can. Otherwise, go to Peter Pan's Flight, one of the first attractions if you want to walk through and see some of the cool stuff. So if you have more of the thrill-seeking people in your party that are maybe just a little older, my top 3 would be Space Mountain, Big Thunder, and then Splash Mountain. Just all the mountains. And keep in mind that Big Thunder and Splash are right next to each other, so plan those 2 to be right after one another, maybe in the afternoon since Splash Mountain is a water ride. And then Space Mountain you can do anytime. I have a couple of alternatives on this list too, in case none of those really fit your fancy, or you want to do maybe one thrill ride and then one from the other and still need something else. Meeting Mickey Mouse at Main Street, where he talks, is another good choice, or Tinkerbell in the same location would be another good option. Mickey Mouse has really fluctuating times I've been noticing lately, and some people just go see him when they walk in, and some meet him on the way out. And then right around the parade, it gets pretty crowded because they're sitting watching the parade and then just jump in that line. So his times fluctuate. So just depending on what the wait times look like, you may want to use Mickey as your 4th fast pass option. If you use your first 3 pretty early in the day, and there are still Mickey Mouse options available. Where in Tier 1, you'll choose 1 attraction, and then in Tier 2, you will choose 2 attractions. Your Tier 1 attractions are going to be the most popular attractions there, so it is going to be difficult choosing a priority for yourself. Frozen Ever After is my number 1 choice just because of wait times, and then Soarin' would be a close second. I don't put Test Track on there just because there is a single rider line available, and I have just noticed that Soarin' and Frozen Ever After lines tend to be longer. Soarin' has recently opened a third or fourth theater, so the lines aren't as long as they used to, but going there personally and then recently checking them, their lines are still pretty long. So choose between Frozen Ever After or Soarin'. All are family friendly and are excellent choices, but personally I would choose Soarin' and then just hope to get into Frozen Ever After later, just because Soarin's a family favorite. But if you have Frozen fans, definitely pick that one first. My next 2 it's kind of just like picking something to pick something, because a lot of the waits aren't super long for the rest of those. And keep in mind, if you want an additional Fastpass, a fourth one, to use on a tier 1, you have to have used 3 already. So sometimes I suggest to clients to just pick 2 random ones, maybe in a part of the day you're not even going to be there, so that by the time your third one hits and you use it, you can grab maybe a fourth of something that was in tier 1, if they're still available, which is rare. My next 2 from that would be Mission Space, which is next to Test Track, and there are 2 options. There's a less crazy one and then more of a thrill-seeking type one. Haven't rode this in a couple years, but the lines are pretty typically around 20 to 30 minutes on that. And then the character meet and greet that they have there, the character spot. Hollywood Studios also has a tier system. They have a tier 1 where you will choose 1, which many of their main attractions are at, and then 2 from tier 2. From tier 1, I would suggest Toy Story Mania, just because it is constantly long lines throughout the day. And also Rock and Roller Coaster has a single rider line, which my family, when we went with the 3 of us, we went through there and all got on the same train. Like, we didn't have to wait 10 minutes for the next person behind us. So it goes pretty quick on the single rider line. So my next 2 choices in tier 2, if you're more of a thrill-seeking person, is going to be Tower of Terror, definitely, one of my personal favorites, and then Star Tours, which is one of those simulation rides, so not necessarily for everyone. So an alternative for Star Tours, if you don't like the motion sickness stuff, is going to be the Frozen Sing-Along, which you can get a nice prime seating for that, and they have a designated time for you to arrive. It's not the hour like it is for the other Fast Passes. It'll be a 30-minute period for a specific show that you will go to wait for your time to go into the show. And lastly, with Animal Kingdom, these aren't super crazy with lines. We were there in July when it was peak season, and we didn't wait very long at all. We also made sure that when we were checking what days to go into what parks, to check crowd calendars, which is always a suggestion I have, and we picked a good day to go. So my top 3 would be Expedition Everest, definitely, and you could probably fast pass that in the morning and wait in line and get in multiple times within the first 30 minutes of park opening. I would use one for Kilimanjaro Safari if you're not going to go there first thing, or if you think you'll have a family member that wants to ride it multiple times, just because you see different animals at different times of the day. So maybe ride in the morning, fast pass for the afternoon, or the early evening, which is now an option since they are open until about 7:30 or 8:30, depending on what time you visit Disney World. And lastly, I would choose Cali River Rapids if it's a seasonably warm time of year. Those waits are crazy in the summer. And then if it's not, and you're not wanting to do a water ride, I would choose Dinosaur, which is another one of those simulation rides, but not as intense as Star Tours. So hopefully this helps you decide which Fast Passes to use and what's most important for your family. I get this question all the time when it comes to what are my favorite Fast Passes to use, so I just thought I would make this to kind of point people in that direction. If you have any questions about planning a Disney vacation, feel free to email me or contact me on Facebook. My planning services are free, and I work with clients who have yet to book or have just recently booked on the Disney website. So if you have any questions about whether or not I can book a trip for you or work with you, just, again, shoot me an email. Have a magical day. I will talk to you all really soon. Bye.